Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. And a wet welcome, I should say. It's been raining pretty much all day here, and apparently I am within the time zone that is the driest that it's going to be. So I decided to make my way to a place where my new landlady indicated that there was around here, and apparently this is the largest park in all of Galicia, because yes, I'm back in Galicia again. People still aren't entirely clear about this. I do just want to reiterate why I'm here, because I got a job as a conversation assistant, language assistant, whatever they want to call it, which is a teaching position to simplify things, and that starts in October and ends in May. So we're here a week early to get used to things. But yeah, there's a lot of confusion about that because most people used to be going to Galicia for holidays, so they thought that I wasn't going to be like around or something, or I was going to have same issues with like Wi-Fi or something. Which, by the way, that's not a universal issue in all of Galicia. It's just because the house that we've been to haven't always had it at different points. Sometimes they have. It really depends. So basically that's why I was on a plane yesterday, because I did mention that during or just before yesterday's premiere. And yesterday's premiere! Let me tell you a thing or two about yesterday's premiere. But first, a story about the trip itself, because I mentioned this on my community post, but I haven't actually like elaborated on it at all, because it was, while it was going on, it was still happening. And I haven't had a chance since then to really, settle down and use the computer as is the way that I normally do. So I'll tell the story again. So classic thing with flights. First, it's delayed half an hour. It happens sometimes, and that's actually not that bad, to be perfectly honest. Our check-in was at the same time, so we were busy there waiting. We got the gate, we waited some more, that kind of thing. And then they changed the gates. So suddenly we were told to go to from gate 18 to gate number 2. And apparently for some reason in Gatwick Airport South Terminal, they have gates 1 through 5 are on one side, and gates 10 through 95 on the other side. Gates 6 to 9 apparently just don't exist. Not sure what that's about. So because of that, we had to go to the entire opposite side of the South Terminal. And so by the time that they arrived, they checked our passports. Well, we're going to check our passports again, but actually they had to they let us in through like the main area, and we were all sat down, ready to go. My mum actually kind of like led the procession towards the gate, actually, because she was in a rush to get there, which did not bode well for the following that happened. So the next bit that occurred was that they didn't let us on because and then an announcement happened from the staff that said that apparently they wanted to ask somebody if they were the owner of the drone that they had just found, or that they had detected in one of the suitcases. Apparently there was a drone signal that was coming from at least one of them. They weren't sure which one, and they would have to investigate one or the other unless the person came forward. So in typical fashion, the people who I was sat next to, who I was talking to in Spanish, that'll be important for later, we had a whole like joke amongst each other about how, yeah, this is not going to work, because you say like oh well, the person who did this thing, come forward, you're not in trouble, that kind of thing. It's like, well, no one's going to do that. And then said everyone gets detention. It's that kind of idea. Oh my goodness, we've got rain and sprinklers. Of all the days. I don't have my selfie stick because that's still in the suitcases. Nor to have my umbrella, the new one, because that is also still in the suitcases. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so yeah, I was talking to them because they're not so good with English. So So they asked what was going on, and I then, you know, I said what the other guy said, basically. And something about that got their attention, because after that, one of the other staff members made an announcement a couple of minutes later, basically, trying to say the same thing in Spanish, and it wasn't super successful. You know, he wasn't like a very confident speaker or anything. So it was awkward for him to try that, and ultimately, you know, he mentions the drone, he mentions the police, who are there as well at this point. So of course no one's going to want to come forward because of that. So eventually, as I continued to talk with these people, and with my parents who were right next to me in English, and I brought them in Spanish, and etc. Eventually that they clocked that, and as a last resort, they asked me to come up and go around and speak through, and then do the announcement myself in Spanish. So they tell me a bunch of stuff they want to like clarify, that they want the signal turned off because otherwise they can't take off. The person isn't in trouble, and those are the main important things. And yeah, the police was there, but I deliberately like omitted the part about the police because they'd already that was already bad enough. So you know, I'm there, you know, hunched over a microphone that's you know, the signal of which, ironically enough, still doesn't come on immediately, and trying to let's do that. My mum filmed me actually, and unfortunately got in trouble for it, so there's like 5 seconds of footage of me doing that. And yeah, so I did the announcement in Spanish for the airport. So, you know, I got to tell that example to some of my old, like you know, monophonic language teachers, actually, because they like to provide like different like examples of when, you know, speaking a foreign language can come in handy, and that's definitely one of them. Because bear in mind, this is like a Gatwick airport, so, you know, they're not used to speaking in English and Spanish. They'll have, you know, people for different flights going to different places. They can't expect them to, you know, have that entirely prepared. It's not like over here where like virtually everyone of a certain age speaks English. To which you might be asking yourself, what am I doing here? Well, I am ensuring that continues to be the case for the next generation. So that's that. So that was an interesting thing. The person didn't come forward, unfortunately, so they had to yeah, so I think they had to search a bunch of things. They came up with 2 sukas actually, so there might have been 2 drones, and that's like those, and then they boarded us, and that was all fine. But we arrived 22 minutes late, actually. That same couple that I was talking to before at the gate arrived right behind us, rushing, because they had a bus to catch, so we let them go first through passport control and yada yada. So that was the last we saw of them, and my goodness, that was quite the experience. So yeah. Oh, by the way, I've ended up at the bridge that I crossed last time to go to Portugal. That's Portugal, by the way. So I'm not there this week. Okay, so that's a little bit of why I was about to board the plane. Just the premiere was actually happening. So unfortunately, I missed the live reactions, and I still, at some point, whenever you know, we've sorted out, you know, getting food for the apartment. Also, we're going to get a desk and a monitor that I can use for streaming, actually. So again, we are setting up so I can do that. Yeah, once that's all sorted and I'm left to, quite literally, to my own devices, that's the first thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to hop on there and look at some of the live chat responses, because I'm really curious to see what you lot thought in the moment. I have read the comments about this. And if people are wondering what I'm talking about, yesterday's video was the long awaited release of the Maddie's Gacha rant, at least the first part of it. and that was because in recent weeks Maddie has once again shown signs of life, and they've not been good signs. So I decided, okay, this is a thing, I'm going to wrap this up, I'm going to release this before I go. And so that was also the thing I was working on yesterday, was at any times I wasn't packing, I was doing the Maddie video. And yeah, when I said I compiled a bunch of evidence about this stuff, which bear in mind goes only up to like April times, so that's the next part will be about you know, past that stage. I think like in May there was the whole like thing where she accused Ghost Kitty of stalking her, and in their own words, blindly believed her, which just about sums up everyone's interaction with Maddie. She says stuff and they blindly believe her. So yeah. I was tempted to go down that harbour there, but yeah, I'll save that for another time when it's a bit drier, I think. I'm going a lot of downhill today, it seems, so I might not pick this route too many times again. We'll see. We'll see. So yeah, as far as everything to do with the Maddie stuff goes, yeah, I've left. If you want to know more details, there's an evidence folder that I've also attached. That's in the description of the video, just a Google Drive link. And I'd love to summarize what happens in that video, but I get the impression you'll be more entertained by watching that than you'll be by hearing me reiterate that stuff. But as of recent weeks, Maddie has once again taken up issue with KW, particularly. I forget what brought it on exactly. Oh wait, no, it's because Maddie decided to try and reach out, asking for forgiveness about what had happened in the past, and KW decided to not offer that in return, which is perfectly entitled to do, by the way. I've mentioned this before, that that in certain situations, like with the whole stuff that happened in Buttercorn back in 2019 with a bunch of people, actually, a lot of bridges were burnt during that process, and a lot of them have not been mended, or some of them were attempted to be mended, but then other stuff happened, so no more second chances, essentially. And there are some people who've been let down by so many others in life that they just aren't prepared to open themselves up to that possibility again. If someone's hurt them in the past, they don't want to open up to that same person, which again I understand completely. It's one of the things that goes back to that whole to that lesson, like in Avatar, for example. A very extreme example, of course, but if you remember the whole thing with the Southern Raiders, where Zuko offers Katara the chance to confront the man who is directly and concretely responsible for the death of her mother, and Aang, who raised by monks and everything, he wants to reiterate that forgiveness would be a good path. And so, go ahead and, meet the man, but hopefully when you're there, choose forgiveness. And at the end of the episode, she actually does, spoilers for Avatar if you don't want to know how this particular episode concludes. But she does find the man, Yonra, and spares him. But then when she returns and says, "I couldn't do it," as in, I couldn't end his life, Aang says, "I'm proud of you for forgiving him." It's like, I didn't forgive him. I'll never forgive him. And yeah, that's a very powerful idea to have. And I'm not saying that anything that's happened with Maddie is anything like as severe as that, but it just goes to show an example of you know, one of those life lessons that you learn from Avatar, particularly, that's that you don't have to go down that path. And of course, from, you know, Maddie's hyper-Christian perspective, of course, choose forgiveness. Although weirdly enough, there's a lot of stuff that happened with apparently with Dania, for example, where Maddie seems to be really adamant about you know, dealing with Dania and, you know, getting rid of her influence. Ironically enough, not seeming to be prepared to forgive whatever tragedy occurred there. So that's something I want to investigate further into. I can definitely ask some questions about that, because I don't know anything about Dania other than appearing in Finding Charlie's Old Friend. So once again, a little bit of hypocrisy there from Maddie, but ultimately the thing is, that seemed to spark up a whole thing, because KW's reaction was a lot more emotional than I'm letting it on. It was just a case of like, you know, sorry, thanks, but no thanks. It was, you know, it had like some swearing involved, which Maddie used as a chance, like, oh yeah, well, she cursed at me, or, you know, whatever, how at least you could be nice about this, and blah blah blah. To be perfectly honest, there's a lot of worse things that people can and have said about Maddie. So, quite frankly, KW's reaction was pretty tame, all things considered. But yeah, and then afterwards, when someone else like tried to ask about her, KW said that Maddie had dug her own grave. You know, a very common phrase, which Maddie, of course, in a typical Maddie fashion, interpreted as, "Wow, she wanted me to die." And then at least she did like put like an edit out of that post to say, like, you know, she asked a friend, it was a confirmed expression, because I will say, happened with me before. She's misinterpreted something that someone said, like, for example, that she doesn't live in the real world. She said that I said that she didn't deserve to live in the world, which is not what I said at all. I have never used the word deserve at all in the entire post. So that was one of the examples of the lies that I mentioned before. This one, because of the edit, seems like a misinterpretation, but who even knows anymore? Because ultimately, KW had to put a bunch of had to turn off the comments on her at the time most recent upload, and which was Never Have Ever, the Quest Rising Sun thing that we did like a week back, because of the abuse that was coming towards her. So yeah, clearly Maddie's influence still was quite substantial, and so it had to be nipped in the bud. So I rushed to make sure that the rest of that video was edited and prepared, and then posted it yesterday, and that was the premiere. And as far as the comments go, it was what everyone was you know, hoping for and waiting for this whole time, because I promised that video, because everyone was so tired of Maddie and everything that she was you know, responsible for. So it seems like it's gone down well as far as vindicating people. And in the aftermath of that, Maddie has actually, if you look on the Gachaverse Creations channel, which used to be Maddie's Extra, I think, or Extra Maddie, the one where she was putting a bunch of community posts, like, saying, like, you know, be honest, do I lie to get like validation from people, or, you know, whenever KW and I mentioned something about like toxic people in the past, and she said, they're talking about me, right? Which, by the way, if you identified yourself in that conversation, that's a warning sign immediately. For the record, we were mentioning a bunch of different people. You know, we weren't singling anyone out, but I will say, as far as I'm concerned, Maddie was included in that list. I will disclose that for sure, because unlike Maddie, I have nothing to hide in that matter. But yeah, that's that Gachaverse Creations channel, the one with all the community posts. There is nothing on there anymore. All of the content has either been privated or has been deleted. Not entirely sure. Partly it might have been because I did like use like a bunch of like hyperlinks and indicate specific videos that Maddie had made, and she wanted to, like, you know, pull a Mr. Beast and try to minimize the damage or minimize the accessibility of it, which I don't think Maddie knows but about the Streisand effect. But if anyone's wondering, the Streisand effect is basically when you try to hide or censor something, and as a result of that attempt, it brings more attention than to the specific thing than if you would have got if you hadn't tried to hide anything at all. It's named after Barbara Streisand because apparently she had like this mansion or something she didn't want people to know about, so tried to like get rid of it from, you know, press releases or something and whatever, so everyone knew about it. Yeah, it's a classic for sure, and Maddie's going to learn what the Streisand effect is probably very soon, considering that people still want that follow-up, which I'm going to have to re-script, because a lot of that stuff was concerning like the changing attitude of like Josh, for example, back in the day. It was a bunch of different times I tried to conclude the video thinking it was all over, but it wasn't. So that also happened. So I'm going to have to, you know, rewrite a lot of that stuff. But just as well that I've taken a bunch of screenshots, including some of the Dania stuff from her channel. I think that might be why also, because she realized having the screenshots there is proof of everything that she was trying to, you know, hide by saying like, oh, you know, I don't lie, I haven't lied ever, etc., etc. And now there's an entire compilation of Maddie lies. So yeah, once again, good old vindication. So yeah, as for right now, my plan is I'm gonna go and get something to eat. Then afterwards we'll pick up some groceries for the place and that desk and such. And perhaps once I have that all set up, maybe I'll use that you know, the new monitor and desk and formation as a little bit of a test while I watch the live replay and see how it all went down in real time. And oh, can I not wait for that to happen. So please leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters. Subscribe to us already. And on that note, until next time, which might be tonight, farewell.